Discover the incredible transformation, how 50 volunteers rescued a German lion from trash and turned their town around. In the sleepy little town of Maplewood, a place known for its close-knit community and picturesque landscapes, hope was scarce. The echoes of laughter had faded, replaced by despair as businesses shuttered and jobs evaporated. Then came the day when Sarah, a single mother with fire in her heart and kindness in her soul, stumbled upon a shocking treasure within the local landfill: a mistreated German lion, sprawled among the refuse, its golden mane tangled and matted, its fierce spirit dimmed. As she approached, her heart raced. The sight of the majestic creature forced her to remember her father, a war veteran who had taught her resilience. "This isn't the end, it's just the beginning," he used to say. In that moment, Sarah knew she had to save the lion, not just for the creature itself, but for her town, hungry for inspiration. Gathering her closest friends over steaming cups of coffee, Sarah laid out her vision. "We can do this. We can rescue him," she declared, fire in her eyes. A flicker of hope ignited in the room, quickly spreading as word got out. Soon, a group of 50 volunteers emerged, an eclectic mix of seniors, young families, and local business owners, all fueled by her passion. Yet as plans took shape, old rivalries surfaced. Townsfolk glanced sideways, whispering fears about working together. "What's in it for us?" one skeptical voice echoed. Tension hung thick, but Sarah pressed on, determined to bridge their divides. Over the following weeks, through laughter and heartbreak, they found common ground amidst stories of loss and dreams deferred. There was Mrs. Jensen, who recounted her late husband's dream of opening an animal sanctuary. Young Timmy shared how he wanted to be a veterinarian, and they listened to the bikers tell tales of their travels, unexpectedly revealing a shared love for nature. Each heartfelt confession stitched them together like a quilt, forming a bond that warmed their spirits, making their mission feel feasible. But just as things began to shift toward unity, whispers of fear resurfaced. "We can't mix with them," an elder grumbled, pointing to a rival neighborhood. Sarah felt the thread of hope wearing thin. Doubt slithered into her heart like a thief in the night. How could they face the odds, let alone the storm brewing both inside and outside their group? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just when spirits began to lift, an unexpected flood of rain rolled in, soaked the ground, and unleashed panic. Would they be able to rescue the lion before the storm opened its furious teeth? The raging storm outside matched the tempest of emotions within as Sarah's heart raced. She thought of her father's lessons strength and compassion could carry them through. With the clock ticking down, Sarah knew they were at a crossroads. The true essence of healing didn't just lie with the lion, it was about forging connections through understanding. If this team, once divided, could come together for something greater than themselves, they could become a beacon of hope not just for the lion, but for the entire town of Maplewood. As they prepared for their final act of love, an undeniable weight lingered in the air. Could they overcome the storm, both literal and metaphorical, to embrace the healing their hearts craved? Sarah wiped away her tears, ready to fight for her father's legacy and all the dreams waiting to soar. Would they take that leap together, or would they falter under the weight of their differences? The storm lashed against the town like a feral beast, rattling windows and spilling leaves from trees. Sarah stood at the edge of the volunteer gathering, her heart thudding in her chest. Rain drummed steadily, the sharp scent of wet earth swirling around her. Would they really go through with it? What if we wait until the storm passes? Someone murmured from the back. There was a wave of murmurs, unsure voices wrapped in fear creeping in. Sarah could sense the doubts rising like the water around their ankles. She needed to act before they lost their chance, before the lioness' very life hung in the balance. "No," she called out, steadying her voice, pushing through the rising noise. "We can't wait. We can't let this lion suffer any longer. We owe it to him. But more than that, we owe it to ourselves, for what we've started here together. The crowd shifted, exchanging glances. She could feel the tension in the air like a stretched wire ready to snap. But she also felt something else, an undercurrent of unity, as if they were all clinging to the same thread that bound them. Mrs. Jensen stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with determination. Sarah's right. Every minute we waste lets our fears grow louder. We need to remember why we started this, why we're fighting for him. Let us do it for the lion, for our hopes, and for Maplewood. Her words pierced through the fog of doubt. Sarah saw more heads nodding, saw the spark of belief flicker back to life. Let us divide into teams. Sarah suggested, her voice rising above the storm. A rescue squad and a support team. We can do this together, and we'll bring the lion out of there and into our hearts. As they organized quickly, excitement overcame fear. The volunteers formed small groups, just as rain poured down in a baptism of sorts. There was something beautiful in their chaos, their urgency, a blend of purpose and vibrant camaraderie. Sarah found herself drawn to the rescue squad, adrenaline surging as she raced toward the landfill with them. Each team member rallied their spirits, sharing encouraging words despite the unrelenting downpour. Yet, as they reached the landfill, reality hit like a cold wave. The mountain of trash loomed, as treacherous as any wall they defaced. They fought through slippery debris, digging past metal and plastic as the wind howled. Over here! Timmy shouted, pointing to a shadow in the rubble. Sarah's breath caught. There he was, the German lion she'd seen days earlier, now shivering beneath a battered tarp. His golden mane was drenched, but his haunting eyes still shimmered with a flicker of spirit. Sarah's heart soared and sank simultaneously. Stay back, everyone! She ordered as she approached. The lion shifted restlessly, muscles tensing. They couldn't frighten him. We're here to help you, buddy, she whispered, her hand trembling as she reached out. Just then, thunder crashed in the sky, the roar mirroring the lioness' low growl. There was a moment of fear, but then there was a focus, a calm determination in her voice. Together, let us show him he can trust us, she urged, glancing at her team. The group steadied themselves, resolve hardening in their hearts. They moved in harmony, hearts synchronized in purpose, trusting each other as they slowly moved closer to the lion. In that fleeting moment, as they reached out to him, everything they had fought for felt tangible. Could this tender act of love pull them back from the brink of despair? Could the rescue of a solitary creature spark a brighter future for all of Maplewood? But before Sarah could breathe in the joy of hope, the winds howled louder, a sinister reminder of the struggles still to come. Would the storm take more than they were willing to give? As Sarah stepped closer to the lion, the sound of thunder was a bitter promise of challenge. Her heart raced, but she couldn't let fear cloud their mission. The lion's eyes, though weary, sparkled with an unmistakable glint of resilience. That flicker ignited something in Sarah. Okay, everyone, she said, her voice steadying despite the chaos around them, let us create a barrier. We don't want him to feel cornered. We'll go slowly. Approach with love. Timmy positioned himself on one side, then Clara on the other. The team formed a protective half-circle around the lion, each member anchoring their focus on the majestic creature huddled beneath the tarp. They were a unit bonded by their shared purpose. Just as they began to inch forward, a gust of wind sent the tarp flailing, revealing the lion fully. His golden mane glistened, but his body shivered. Panic surged in the group, it was as if time stood still for a heartbeat. We need to stay calm. Sarah insisted, hands raised. Take a deep breath together, count to 3. In unison, they breathed, the calm creating a bubble of solidarity that cut through the storm's chaos. That whispered encouragement seemed to reach the lion. He looked up, gauging the expressions on their faces. See that? Clara whispered, her eyes wide. He trusts us. With cautious steps, Sarah moved closer to the lion, reverence filling her heart. Hey there, buddy, you're going to be all right, she murmured again. Each soft word was a lifeline. and then, a miracle happened. The lion let out a weak, almost pitiful growl, but it was more of a cry for help than a warning. The members of the rescue squad traded quick, determined looks. In that moment, they knew they couldn't hesitate any longer. "Timmy, go grab that blanket." Sarah pointed toward where a discarded tarp lay. "Make sure it's clean." As Timmy ran off, the air around them thickened with anticipation. Clara kept talking to the lion, gently coaxing him with soothing words, while others began clearing the debris nearby. The thundering storm was no longer a daunting backdrop, it became a rhythm, beating in time with their collective heartbeat. The lion, seemingly understanding their intentions, began to relax just a fraction. His posture softened, his body shifting away from the intense tension. It was a small victory, but a victory nonetheless. "Everyone, we can do this," Sarah said, finding her voice rising above the storm again. "This is our chance. Let us show him we care." With a renewed sense of purpose, they spread the clean tarp over the lion, creating a shield from the rain. The lion leaned into the shelter, seeking warmth. "He needs more than just our love," Clara said, feeling the urgency rise. "We have to help him move." "But how?" Timmy returned, blanket draped over his shoulder. He's heavy and scared. "We'll have to do it together," Sarah replied, her gaze steady on the lion, who now seemed to trust them a bit more. "When I say go, everyone grab the tarp and we'll gently lift him together. 1, 2, 3, go." The group lifted with all their might, teamwork driving them forward. For a moment, it felt like everything else, the storm, their fears, faded away. Just the lion, their bond, and the determination to save a life. But as they struggled, the ground beneath them buckled, and a loud crack echoed. They froze, terror flooding the air once more. The earth shifted. Would they be able to escape with the lion before the storm claimed more than they had bargained for? Could it already be too late? The ground shook again, sending shivers through Sarah's spine. A wave of dread swept over her. They had come so far, and now it felt like a cruel joke of nature. "Keep pushing, we're almost there," she urged, though her heart pounded in dismay as she felt the earth shift beneath her feet. The lion pressed weakly against the tarp, as if sensing their mounting panic. "Breathe," Clara exclaimed, her voice rising above the rumble of thunder. "He can sense our fear." Timmy was panting as he strained with the others, his small frame fighting against the weight of the lion. "What if he doesn't make it?" he gasped, looking desperately at Sarah. "He will, Timmy. We're going to help him," she responded, trying to inject energy into her words even as doubt crept into her mind. Together, they were a pulsing heart, united in hope, in fear, in a dream. With one more final push, they hoisted the lion gently but swiftly. "Go!" Sarah shouted with new fervor, adrenaline firing through her veins as they moved him inch by inch. The tarp shifted around the lion, enveloping him in warmth and love. In that fragile moment, they were more than just a rescue team, they were guardians of a life that could still find a way to thrive. The lion let out a soft whimper as they lifted him. "Almost there, buddy," Clara whispered, brushing her hand along his back as they carried him away from the debris, closer to the safety of their makeshift shelter. But then, just as they reached solid ground, a deafening crack tore through the air. The nearby tree, already compromised by the storm, fell forward, just missing them by inches. The impact sent rocks and water flying, creating a chaotic splash around them. "Heavy! Go back!" Timmy shouted, terror flashing in his young eyes. "No, we've come too far," Sarah shouted back, her voice tinged with urgency. "We can't stop now. We need to move." She steadied her grip, feeling the lion's breath quicken beneath the tarp. What lay ahead would require every ounce of faith they could muster. With quickened stares, they exchanged determined looks, raising their collective strength and hope. "Follow me," Clara urged, her voice cutting through the storm's roar. They began to run, their hearts pounding not only from the physical exertion but from a shared resolve that they wouldn't abandon this animal, not when he needed them the most. As they sprinted towards a safer area, Sarah's mind raced. Why had fate thrown such a fierce storm at them? What would happen to the lion when they finally reached cover? Each step felt fragile, vulnerable underfoot, yet filled with fierce determination. Just then, the storm parted momentarily, and a beam of sunlight broke through the clouds, illuminating the lion, who briefly looked back at them. It was as if he was giving them strength with his trusting gaze. "We can do this," she shouted one last time, pulling the group tightly around him as they pressed forward. But there was something stirring within Sarah, something deeper than just the urgency of this moment. A question loomed at the back of her mind. Was their battle against nature simply about saving this one lion? Or was it also a fight to save something within themselves? As they crossed the threshold into the clearing, Sarah couldn't shake that feeling. What more were they about to uncover, not just about the lion but about who they were when faced with adversity? And then, as they stood together in the light, another shockwave ran through the earth, reminding them that their ordeal was far from over. Would they have the strength to face what was yet to come? The sunlight illuminated the clearing, casting an otherworldly glow on the soaked earth. Sarah felt the warmth on her face, but it hardly eased the chill of fear knotting her stomach. They had made it to the edge of safety, but in the distance, the storm raged on. More thunder cracked, echoing like a battle cry in the heavens. "Stay close," Clara shouted, her voice trembling yet firm. They knelt down to lay the lion gently on the ground, carefully peeling back the tarp, revealing the majestic creature's weary form. His golden fur was matted and wet, and his breathing was shallow. Sarah brushed a finger along his side, hoping to comfort him even as apprehension filled her heart. "Do you think he'll be okay?" Timmy whispered, his eyes wide as he looked at the lion. There was an innocence in his gaze, but also a profound understanding of the fragility of life. "He's fighting, just like we are," Sarah replied, a lump rising in her throat. She couldn't promise anything, but in that moment, she chose hope over despair. Everyone gathered around, all hands gently petting the lion, giving him the collective strength of their unwavering spirit. "Look," Clara said suddenly, pointing toward the tree line. A flash of movement caught their attention. Emergency responders were making their way to them, their bright jackets glowing like beacons against the darkened backdrop of the storm. Relief washed over Sarah like a gentle tide. "Help is here," she cried, unable to contain her joy. The team huddled closer, the lion nestled between them like a vulnerable treasure. The rescuers approached with urgency, assessing the scene. Sarah felt her heart race again as they spoke in hurried whispers, discussing the lion's condition and the safest way to transport him. Timmy took a deep breath, looking at Sarah. "Do you think they'll save him?" His voice was small, but Sarah knew there was strength behind his words. "They will do everything they can," she replied softly, holding his gaze. Hours passed in a blur. The storm finally began to relent, falling into a gentle drizzle as the sky slowly cleared. But their hearts still raced with adrenaline, heavy with the weight of what was unfolding. They watched as the lion was carefully lifted into a makeshift stretcher crafted from the remnants of their tarp. "Stay strong, buddy," Clara whispered as they watched the dignified creature being carried away. The lion's eyes fluttered open briefly, meeting Sarah's gaze one last time. In those depths, she saw something profound, a recognition of what they had done together, their fight resonant among the swirling chaos. As the responders moved with precision and care, Sarah stood back, feeling the bond they had formed around this lion tightening. "This isn't just about him," she said suddenly, surprising herself. "It's about how we find hope when everything seems lost." Timmy nodded, wiping away tears, and Clara squeezed his shoulder, eyes shimmering with shared understanding. But even as she said those words, a new thought pierced Sarah's mind. What would happen once the immediate danger passed? What would it take to ensure not just this lion's survival, but for all the wildlife struggling against the world's relentless storms? Just then, a rumble of thunder rolled ominously in the distance, a reminder that nature had not finished with them yet. "Let us follow them," Sarah said, newfound determination in her voice. "There's more we can do." As they started to move, an overwhelming realization struck her: this was just the beginning. What lay ahead would challenge their resolve like never before. Would they have the courage, as a community, to make a real difference? And ahead, in the beckoning shadows, a new storm brewed not only in the sky but in their hearts. What would it take to rise against it? The sun was breaking through the clouds, timid yet determined, lighting up the remnants of the storm. As Sarah, Clara, and Timmy followed the team of rescuers deeper into the woods, a sense of urgency propelled them forward. The air was fresh but still charged with the lingering tension of what had just happened. "Do you think he'll make it?" Timmy asked again, his little voice soft, the worry evident in his wide eyes. Sarah glanced at him, seeing the familiar innocence that made her heart ache in gratitude. He was so brave, facing the unknown with such raw courage. "I believe he will. We did our part, and now we need to believe in the heroes we've called in." But even as she spoke, doubt crept into her mind like the shadows that flitted through the trees. Was hope enough? The group finally reached the clearing where a makeshift first aid station had been set up. Bright yellow tarps flapped in the wind, and the scent of antiseptic hung in the air. It felt like a lifeline, providing a moment of warmth in the cold reality of their situation. The lion was on a table, surrounded by attentive hands, each person focused on the task at hand, determined to save this magnificent creature. Sarah watched as one of the rescuers gently examined the lion's wounds, his brow furrowed in concentration. The officials conversed in hurried tones, urgency guiding their choices. Her heart raced, a mixture of hope and fear swirling within her. They were doing everything they could, but was it enough? "Clara, what do you think we can do to help?" Sarah turned, and Clara's eyes glinted with determination. "There's got to be something. We can't just stand back," Clara responded, her voice fierce. "We need to be part of this, not just witnesses. We could raise awareness. Gather support. That might help not just this lion, but countless others." "Yes." Timmy jumped in, his face lighting up. "Like a rescue squad. We could get kids at school to help to understand." Sarah felt a surge of pride wash over her. These two had such huge hearts for their age. "That's brilliant. We can start a community project. Maybe even organize a fundraiser?" As they spoke, they began to imagine the scope of what they could create together. Sarah's mind raced with possibilities: community events, social media outreach, educational programs about wildlife protection. But would people listen? And would they care? "Wait, what if we don't have enough time?" Timmy murmured, his enthusiasm dampening. The words hit Sarah hard. "We will make time. We have to." She locked eyes with Clara, and in that moment, they both understood the weight of the challenge ahead of them. Just then, a commotion broke out. A voice rang clear. "We need more hands over here." The team of responders looked up, and Sarah caught a glimpse of the lion, now being stabilized for transport. His breathing seemed a little stronger, and for a fleeting moment, hope flickered gently within her. "See?" Clara said, a smile on her face despite the heaviness of the moment. "He's not giving up. We have to keep going, just like he is." They began to gather momentum, stepping forward, driven by a collective force, an unbreakable bond now forged through their love for this lion and all he represented. But just as they were about to reach the gathering crowds, a distant rumble echoed ominously. A shadow passed overhead, and Sarah looked up, panic rushing through her. Dark clouds were swirling again, threatening a new tempest, as if nature itself had responded to their call. What if this storm is just the beginning?" Sarah whispered, fear cutting through her newfound resolve. Together, they faced the gathering storm, uncertain and unyielding. Their next steps would challenge everything they believed in and every ounce of strength they could muster. Would they fight not only for the lion but for an entire ecosystem at risk? The weight of the storm was upon them, not just in the sky but in their hearts. They would have to rise against it. And in that moment, they realized that the real battle was just beginning. The wind picked up, swirling leaves and debris around them. Sarah braced herself, glancing at Clara and Timmy. Their faces were set with determination, but the darkening sky cast an ominous shadow over their resolve. Everyone! Clara shouted, raising her voice above the growing howl of the wind. Now's the time to spread the word. We can start right here, right now. Timmy bounced on his toes, uncertainty flashing across his features. But what if we can't find enough people before the storm hits? Sarah knelt down to Timmy's level, her eyes meeting his. We can't underestimate the power of our community. If we can inspire even just a few people today, it'll set the stage for something bigger. As she spoke, her heart pounded with a blend of anxiety and conviction. She felt the urgency to move, to take action before the storm stole their chance. With a deep breath, she stood taller. Let us gather what we can. We can create posters, hand out pamphlets, tell our story. We can do this together. Clara nodded vigorously, her energy sparking a sense of hope. Right. I'll take care of the design. It should be bright and eye-catching, something no one can ignore. Timmy grinned, inspired by their attitude. I'll talk to my friends at school. Maybe we can even do a bake sale. Everyone loves cookies. The pair sprang into action, their voices caught in the fervor of excitement. Sarah rushed to a nearby rescue volunteer, a woman in her 30s with dirt smudged on her cheek. Excuse me. Can we borrow some of your supplies? We want to raise awareness about the lion and get people involved. The woman, taken aback by their energy, hesitated for a moment. But then, her lips curled into a smile. Of course. Just take whatever you need from the container over there. As Sarah turned to fetch the supplies, a bolt of lightning flashed in the distance. She paused, staring at the sky. The weight of what lay ahead settled in her stomach. But the children's enthusiasm was infectious, and she shook off the fear. They gathered sheets of paper and handfuls of markers, quickly sketching out ideas. Clara jumped up and down, summoning the crowd that had gathered nearby. Hey! Everyone! We need your help to save the lion. The crowd murmured, curious yet hesitant, as Clara waved her hands to draw more souls in. Timmy stood tall, his little stature brimming with urgent passion. We can do this. We can raise money, spread the word, we just need your help. Sarah watched as people began to approach, each face revealing a glimmer of interest. A family stepped forward, a woman holding her young daughter, their eyes wide. What can we do to help? With every additional person who joined in, Sarah's heart swelled with emotion. She realized it wasn't just about the lion anymore, it was about creating a chain reaction of compassion. A community standing up for something bigger than themselves. But as they worked together, lightning cracked again, louder this time, followed by an immediate roar of thunder that rolled across the sky. The air felt electric, charged with the promise of the approaching storm. Timmy's small voice once more broke through the swelling noise. What if we run out of time? That's why we push harder. Clara shouted, determination etched across her face. As they resumed their campaign, the momentum grew. People joined in, each like a brushstroke painting a larger message, one of hope and urgency. They might not be able to save the lion alone, but they could ignite a fire in their community. But just as their spirits soared, another loud rumble echoed, not just in the sky but resonating through the earth beneath their feet. Sarah turned to see the crowd faltering, apprehension settling in like the thick clouds swirling above. What awaited them with the storm? They had ignited a spark, but would it be enough to weather this storm, both literal and metaphorical? As rain began to fall, heavy and unforgiving, a shiver ran down Sarah's spine. Would they stand strong against the elements, fighting for what they believed in, even when everything seemed to pile against them? Their battle was only beginning, and with every drop of rain, hope flickered like a candle in a windstorm. Would they rise to face it? The rain started as a drizzle, but it was only a tease. Soon enough, it turned into a lashing downpour, soaking through clothes and drenching the eager crowd gathered around Clara, Timmy, and Sarah. The once lively energy began to wane, people instinctively seeking shelter as thunder cracked louder overhead. Each boom echoed in Sarah's chest like an urgent call to action. Don't go! Clara shouted, her voice strained against the roar of nature. We can't give up. This lion needs our voices. A few people hesitated, lingering on the fringes, eyes darting to the darkening clouds and rain-slicked ground. Sarah could sense the hesitation rising like the water around their feet. She noticed a mother and son standing a little farther back, a hesitant energy radiating from them as they clutched each other tight. Sarah stepped forward, pushing through the thrumming crowd until she reached them. "Hey," she said, genuinely. The boy looked up, wide-eyed. "You can help. Every little bit counts." The mother's brow furrowed, concern etched on her face. "But it's storming. We might get hurt. We can't let fear stop us. If we give up now, who will stand up for the lion? Look around." Sarah waved her arm, gesturing to friends and neighbors shaking off their fear and joining in. "If we all share just a little hope, we can gather a lot of strength." "Yeah," Timmy called out, his youthful enthusiasm spilling over like the rain. "Think about everyone who loves animals. They'll want to help too." Slowly, the mother released her grip on her son's shoulder, her frown easing. "You really think we can make a difference?" Sarah met her gaze head-on. "Absolutely. We're stronger together. Let us stand for something we believe in." The boy broke into a smile, his young spirit rekindled by the fire in Sarah's words. "I want to help." With that spark of encouragement, the mother nodded, determination flickering to life. "Okay, what do we need to do?" As Sarah detailed their next steps, Clara began rallying more volunteers, transcending the storm's relentless downpour. She waved her arms like a conductor directing an orchestra, coaxing enthusiasm from everyone present. Even though the rain lashed at them, painting every face with droplets of determination, it also carried a weight of urgency. Time was against them. As the group gathered supplies, they turned the chaos of the storm into a symphony of momentum. For every drop that hit the ground, their voices rose in harmony, a chant of hope and survival. Posters were drawn quickly, phrases about compassion scrawled across the sheets, the bright colors fighting the gloom overhead. Timmy and his new friends decided on a bake sale strategy that could energize everyone. Laughter cut through the storm, merging with the ring of the raindrops. But amid the laughter, Sarah felt a knot tightening in her stomach. The storm was not just a backdrop, it was a looming threat. What if the volunteers exhausted themselves before they even got started? She looked at the faces around her. Some looked weary, their expressions strained. Could they maintain their spirit against nature's fury? Suddenly, a crack of thunder broke through, and Sarah felt a deep gust of wind sending a shiver down her spine. "We need to act fast," she yelled over the noise. "Before this storm overwhelms us." As they rushed to hang the first posters, Sarah caught sight of Clara, soaked and still smiling, casting off the fear like water from her back. Inspiration surged inside her, but uncertainty squelched her heart. Could they carry this energy forward despite the storm's wrath? Just as they positioned the last poster, a stronger wave of wind ripped through the clearing, tipping over a table filled with supplies. A gasp went up from the crowd, and time seemed to freeze as they watched the chaos unfold. Sarah's heart raced. Would this storm steal their momentum away, or could they redirect their fear into a rallying cry? The unexpected shift was here. Ahead of them lay the question, how far would they go, and what would they endure in the name of their mission? As the table crashed to the ground, Sarah felt a rush of panic. Supplies scattered, posters soaked and torn, scraps of their intentions lying strewn across the muddy earth. She could see Clara's determination falter for just a moment, her smile replaced by a look of shock. The courageous energy they had built felt like it was slipping through their fingers, just like the rain pouring down around them. "Everyone, gather those supplies," Sarah shouted, her voice breaking through the clamor of thunder. "We've got to show them that we won't back down." With a renewed sense of urgency, she ran forward to help collect what they could salvage. Timmy followed close behind, his little hands frantically reaching for baking trays, splattered signs, and bags of flour. Sarah caught sight of the hesitant mother and son from earlier, now moving to help, their apprehension seemingly washed away by the sheer momentum of need. One by one, volunteers began to rally, hands reached for rain-soaked papers and half-filled boxes. Clara's enthusiasm ignited again as she began to shout phrases of encouragement. "It's just a storm. We can overcome this. Together." No sooner had she shouted that than a group of teenagers, once shy and lurking in the back, joined in. They took over gathering the fallen supplies, laughing despite the downpour. Their youth and energy seemed to infuse the crowd once again, filling them with renewed hope. Sarah's heart swelled. Perhaps this storm was a test not just of their resolve, but of their unity. She couldn't help but think of the lion they were fighting for. If that majestic creature still had breath left in its lungs, it didn't matter how fierce the storm raged. It was their will that mattered now. With posters reattached to boards and supplies piled back together, Clara stepped onto a raised platform that had been used during warmer days. "Listen up. Look at what we've accomplished," she shouted, arms triumphed like a heroine against the storm. "This lion needs us more than ever. We can't let the thunder drown out our voices." The crowd cheered, a wave of sound bouncing back against the reins, rising up like a beacon piercing the heavy gray. "Let us show this storm we are unstoppable," Clara continued, her fierce spirit infecting everyone near her. Sarah's chest tightened with pride. They could endure this. Together, they could transform fear into action, chaos into awareness. It was a beautiful, ragged hope that filled the air, merging with their voices. Each drenched shirt held a story, every laugh became a shared bond, a testament to the fire burning within. But then, the wind shifted again, stronger, colder. A new crack of thunder made them all shrink for a second. Moments later, Clara's voice returned, stronger than before. "Let us head to the community center. We can make our sign-up sheets there and get this movement moving." As they turned to head to the center, Sarah's heart raced not just from the adrenaline of the storm but from the excitement of purpose building inside. Could they truly channel this energy? She could sense they were on the precipice of something greater. But as the wind held with fury, a troubling thought crossed her mind. Would they be able to keep this momentum going, or would the storm effectively lead them into the shadows of doubt? Just then, someone shouted from the back of the crowd, "What if there's more going on than we know?" The question hung in the air, heavy and charged, silhouettes of concern lining familiar faces. Sarah turned to see Clara's brunette. What unforeseen truth loomed on the horizon, hidden beneath the storm clouds? They were battling the rain, but now it seemed like they might be battling something larger. What lay ahead as they pursued their mission in the raw chaos of the storm? As they surged toward the community center, the storm's winds howled like a pack of wolves, but the people of Maplewood stood firm, hearts racing with purpose. Sarah could feel the energy shifting, swirling around them like the tempest itself, a mix of fear and determination. They were at a turning point, not simply fighting against the elements but pushing against the walls that had divided them for so long. Inside the community center, they found a sanctuary. As they gathered around tables, soaked yet buzzing with adrenaline, Sarah looked into each pair of eyes, seeing not just worry, but the incredible spark of solidarity igniting within each individual. People were beginning to understand that this was bigger than one lion, this was about igniting hope in their beleaguered town. "Let us add our names," Timmy shouted, clutching his makeshift sign-up sheet, clearly a conduit of enthusiasm. "We can be the Lion Army." Laughter erupted, a joyous sound cutting through the tension. Sarah took a step up on a table, feeling bold amidst the laughter, the kindling of unity. "This is our moment. We're not just rescuing a lion, we're bringing our community back to life. Let us make this our mission." Fundraising, awareness, education, it starts now. As the rain continued its relentless assault outside, inside, they were lighting a fire. Teams formed rapidly, energy electrifying the space. Clara led a group into the kitchen to plan a bake sale. Sarah tapped into her connections with local businesses to brainstorm donations, while Timmy rallied fellow kids, harnessing their youthful exuberance. Just then, a loud crash reverberated through the building, another burst of anger from the storm. The windows rattled, and Sarah felt a sinking feeling flash through her. Would chaos win over the spirit of collaboration they had found? You guys! Clara shouted, exploding with enthusiasm, this storm may rise, but our spirit is rising higher. Let us gather everything we can. We can create an awareness day about the lion, provide educational pamphlets. We can talk to schools. She kept urging them forward, her vision clear as they worked into the night. In that whirlwind of activity, small miracles occurred. People began to share their stories of loss, of heartache and connections to wildlife. The woman from earlier took the stand, sharing her dream of an animal sanctuary. Her voice, once uncertain, now rang strong as she recounted how they could turn this darkness into light. Together, we can host an event. Get people talking about the wild animal and environmental conservation. Join hands in our rescue. Emotions swelled, and tears flowed as the stories poured out. Hope paired with immense heartbreak, bringing clarity to the depth of their struggle. Clara stood firm alongside Sarah, her hand clutching the side of the table, her other arm raised as if to emphasize a point. This lion is a symbol of what we can accomplish. Let us save him and in doing so restore our community. The energy shifted from despair to fierce resolve. And as they began to weave their vision into reality, Sarah allowed herself to feel hope. Would it truly be possible? Could they not just rescue a lion, but also revitalize their town? Hours passed as they pounded away at their phones, printing signs, crafting a plan. Somewhere amidst the thunder outside, they found strength in their vulnerability, the rain beating a rhythm that called them to action. My mom can help. Timmy chimed in excitedly, his eyes sparkling with potential. With that, they divvied up responsibilities and filled the evening with hustle and laughter. Exhaustion weighed in, but it was overridden by the buoyancy of purpose they were crafting together. As the final hour drew near, Sarah stood at the community center's door, watching the rain commence a gentle fare thee well, treating the world outside to a soft mist. The storm was backing down, but it had revealed something magnificent, a community ready to rise. Tomorrow we'll begin our campaign. Sarah called out, her heart swelling with pride. For the lion and for Maplewood. Cheers erupted, and they clapped hands together. In that moment, as they locked eyes, a profound silence enveloped them, a silence that resonated like a promise. Maplewood was on the brink of rebirth, and it was more than just their actions that would carry them forward, it was the fire that had ignited within their community. But as the group began to disperse, a bigger realization dawned on Sarah. This was only the beginning, they would face challenges yet unforeseen. Would they be able to sustain the momentum outside the safety of the community center? They left, buzzing with energy and new hope, ready to face the world. Empowered. Inspired. In the morning light, with the storm clouds receding further into myth, they would forge a path not only for the lion but for themselves, a testimony to resilience, unity, and the unwavering spirit of Maplewood. As people drifted home, Sarah's heart overflowed with gratitude. It wasn't just about a single lion anymore. It was about the power of the collective heart beating in unison, ready to rise against whatever challenges lay ahead. And she wouldn't trade that feeling for anything. She was ready for the journey ahead, and with a glimmer of certainty, she whispered out loud, "We can do this, we will do this." The echo of that newfound promise reverberated through the streets of Maplewood. And in the heart of that little town, for the first time in a long while, hope felt tangible, vibrant, alive. So, fellow dreamers, if you've enjoyed this incredible journey, you need to subscribe now to stay engaged with the next exclusive stories that will continue to inspire us all. Leave a like now, your support really matters and feeds the algorithm. Let me know in the comments how you felt about this transformation and share with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey. Don't wait not even one more second, your influence can spark the change we all crave.